I built an AI-generated pop album, put it on Spotify, and attached it to a super tiny meme coin, with the absolutely insane goal of creating one of the world's first viral AI pop stars. That might sound a little bit crazy, and honestly, it probably is, but in this video, I'll show you the real reason behind why I did this, how insanely good AI music has become, talk a little bit about this really tiny meme coin sort of associated with this project, as well as just reveal why I'm not stopping anytime soon with this experiment and my future plans ahead. A few months ago, I was diving deep down the AI rabbit hole when I had this idea that I just couldn't shake. With how good AI music was becoming, what if you could create an AI artist that evolves in public, one with a permanent time-stamped kind of like history of the evolution of AI music. I've always been super creative and I've literally always wanted to make my own like music album, but I don't have the connections, the correct connections to get something quality produced. And I know a lot of people hate on AI music, but honestly, I bet they said the same thing when computers first came around. I bet there was a lot of people that were like, you don't even know how to play an instrument. Like you're just using a computer to make music. That doesn't count as real art. People seem to hate change, but the cool thing about art is it's not about the tools you use to make it. And my goal with this project was really simple. I wanted to just document the history of AI music from like the really early models that super suck and aren't very good to like as it progressively gets better and better over time, releasing an album sort of from each generation of AI music, with the goal of sort of creating this AI pop legend that gets better and better over time. And it kind of around the same time that I was thinking about this idea, I'd gotten into this really stupid like duck meme coin thing that was really, really tiny. I've never really talked about it on my channel or anything like that. I just thought it was kind of funny. I have no idea who actually made this meme coin, but I decided to jump in. And that's when I sort of had this idea. What if I made this viral AI pop star under the persona of this meme coin, kind of like attaching it to the meme coin through just using the same picture, with the idea being that like having a meme coin sort of associated with it in some way would help it maybe gain more attention and more traction. For me, mostly this just sounded like a fun side project to pursue as like a passion project. But to be super, super clear, I did not make this meme coin. I didn't create this meme coin. This is just like a random meme coin that I held that I said, oh, I'm gonna go make I'm gonna make this AI music project and associate it with this meme coin. And I ended up getting started with my first AI pop album that week, and I decided to kind of lean into K-pop. I literally don't know why. Well, actually, I do kind of know why. The first sort of generation of AI music really struggled with lyrics. Like the lyrics, for whatever reason, just felt kind of cringe in some ways and off. And I figured if if it was in Korean, people would notice less and maybe like it more. And I ended up spending like a week straight making this album. I probably generated like 500 different versions of songs. And I spent a long time dialing in like my prompt engineering to really get the vibe that I was going for. My first album, The Baddest, dropped on Spotify and I got like maybe a couple hundred views, nothing crazy or insane. And even though a second generation of AI music hadn't come out, I had felt like I learned a lot during this like first process making this first album that I wanted to apply what I learned to launch a second album not soon after. And so going through a similar process, spending about 2 weeks working on this second album, doing again like hundreds of different generations, and having a few listen parties with friends and family to kind of pick the best of the best when it came to songs, I ended up releasing the second album under Baba the Duck called Main Character. And after that, I decided to go silent. I'd felt like I'd pushed those models to their limits in terms of like what I could do in terms of quality, and I wanted to wait for like a major update to AI music before I released the next album. After a few months had passed, a new model ended up dropping for AI music. And this new model was insanely good. That's one of the big problems with the older models is the vocals always sounded like kind of tinny. I don't know how to describe it. I guess the best way to describe it is if you existed way back in the day where you'd like illegally downloaded music off of LimeWire, some of those songs were like weirdly compressed and always kind of sounded off. And that's kind of how a lot of AI music tends to sound. But this new model didn't sound like that. It basically sounded indistinguishable from like a song I would listen to on Spotify. Not only that, but the lyrics were vastly improved. They actually sounded like really good lyrics that somebody would normally write. And that's when I knew it was time to work on the third Baba the Duck album titled Rebirth. And I used everything that I learned from creating those first two albums alongside a brand new process to kind of prompt the music I was going after. On top of that, in that just short couple month period, a lot of advancements had been made in AI music where now you could like edit the songs and really fine tune what you were looking for. So I once again ended up generating hundreds of different songs, really narrowing it down to the songs I liked, and then fine tuning those to really what I thought was just absolutely the cream of the crop. And this ended up being the first album I decided to release in English, featuring an entirely new style and approach because I felt like this model allowed me to do that. And the result was the single best album that I had made so far, like by a long shot. Some of these songs are so insanely good. In fact, I showed it to a lot of friends and family, and what I would do is I'd play songs like normal pop songs on Spotify, and then I would switch to one of my songs, and I'd have them try to guess which one was AI generated and which one was just a normal song. And none of them could. Not a single person could consistently guess the one that was AI versus the one that was just a normal pop song. And really quick, just to show you what I mean, I'm gonna show you a quick preview of some of the songs from this album. This is the first song, Sun Drenched, and it's like a poppy
Can you take my
song.
heart on a beating? In my jet black Impala, on the street we're still beating. Oh yeah, you got it, you got it. I could die in the moment, young, wild and free, got the magic all over.
This is a song called Make It Out. And again, it's kind of in that pop genre, trying to appeal to like the widest amount of people I can.
Make it out, all I need is to get it out. Can't sleep 'cause I'm dreaming now. I'm not alone. Every day we were going out.
Anyways, I ended up launching the album, and once again, it launched to crickets. I have about 17 monthly listeners, not getting a ridiculous amount of traction. But with this album being so good, in my opinion, and it's one you gotta kind of listen to a speaker that has like some bass in it so you can really get the full fidelity, I felt like it was time to push my passion project to a wider audience, which is kind of why I'm making this video. Obviously, this is not like my normal content. Obviously, this is just a fun side project. Again, just something I'm gonna keep doing just for fun, purely for fun. But my hope is that it gets somewhat successful and gains like even just a little bit of traction over time. Even if it doesn't, I'm pretty committed to just kind of doing this over the next couple years, uploading these albums as AI music progresses. Again, just as a fun way to document